Welcome to the first in-depth video on PDSAs, or Plan, Do, Study, Act cycles. In this video, we are going to go in-depth into step 1, the planning phase. In this session, we are going to start with a brief overview of PDSA cycles. We are then going to talk about the key tasks for the planning phase, and we will close with some considerations for you and your improvement team to think through as you approach your planning process. PDSA cycles have 4 key steps, as the cycles are named: plan, do, study, act. Planning is the first phase of the PDSA cycle. This is where you and your improvement team specify a change idea, make predictions about what you would expect to see if your change idea results in improvement, and create a measurement plan to collect data to assess whether or not your predictions come true. This then propels you into the second phase, the do phase. In the do phase, you will execute the test of your change idea as you planned. You will collect data according to your measurement plan, and you and your team will document any key observations that arise as you are implementing the change idea. These data allow you to move into the third part of the PDSA cycle, which is the study phase. In the study phase, you and your team will compare results across the different data you have collected. Together, you will determine what you have learned by looking back at your change idea implementation plan and the predictions you've made, and comparing those plans to what actually happened. Once you and your team have your key learnings from the study phase, you enter the act phase, which is the fourth and final phase of a single PDSA cycle. In the act phase, you will decide to either adapt your change idea further, which will push you into the planning phase of a new PDSA cycle, to adopt your change idea, which means you can then start scaling it outside of your improvement team, or you can abandon your change idea in favor of testing a new change idea. There are 4 key tasks in the planning phase. First, you and your improvement team should set a clear goal for the test. What are we trying to improve? What do we want to learn? Once you and your team are clear on what you are trying to improve and what you are trying to learn, you can then reach consensus around identifying and documenting a specific change idea. A change idea should be a single or tightly related collection of behaviors or practices that your improvement team can implement and document the implementation of and collect data about. As you'll note on the text box below, your change idea does not have to be entirely new. Some of your change ideas might be new, but other change ideas might be about improving a system or a practice that already exists. It might be doing better than doing different. Once you have your specific change idea identified and documented, you and your team should make one or more clear predictions. What would you expect to see if your change idea is successful in resulting in improvement? Once you know what your predictions are, you and your team will create a data collection plan using practical measures. Your data collection plan needs to think through what will we need to observe and document in order to, during the study phase, assess whether or not our predictions came true. You should think about data that are within your control to collect and that you can collect very quickly. When you're thinking through your change idea, you should start by thinking small. Another way of voicing this is to say, what is within your locus of control? Can you enact the change idea yourselves? Can you test the change idea in a reasonable amount of time? And can you measure success? Different change ideas and different improvement teams might approach these questions somewhat differently. For example, an improvement team in a high school might think through, for example, a history unit, which might be several weeks. An improvement team at a college or university might think through an academic quarter or an academic semester, which would be a longer sense of time. What you can control, how much time is reasonable, and what you can measure will vary across your ideas of a change idea and your context. As you think through the change idea, you want to make sure you are always asking and documenting who is doing what with whom, and where and when will this happen. The last step of the planning phase, as we reviewed earlier, is coming up with a data collection plan and a measurement plan. As you think through your measures, ask and document these two answers to these two questions. First, how will we measure if we implemented the change idea? This is a process measure. Are we engaging in the processes as we planned? The second question is, how will we know if we achieved improvement? These are outcome measures. The outcome measures, again, should be well aligned to the predictions that you and your team made. As you and your team go through the planning process, do make sure you invest the time up front to save time in the future. The more time you spend coming up with a clear and well-documented plan, the easier the rest of the PDSA cycle will go for you, your team, and the other people you may be implementing the change idea with. Do struggle with the details of implementation and data collection. You do not want to assume that your future selves will have all of the answers that your current selves do not. If there are current questions or details that need to be worked through for planning purposes, work through them as soon as possible. Also, do make sure the predictions you and your team set are clear. You should be able to easily assess in the study phase whether or not your predictions were accurate. Lastly, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Good planning is diligent, good planning has clear documentation, and good planning is well detailed. But no plan is going to be perfect. So don't wait for the perfect plan before you start acting. In this video, we have discussed the 4 sessions of the planning phase. First, we set a goal for the test. Then, we document and plan for implementing our change idea. We make predictions about what we would expect to see if the change idea results in improvement. And then, based on those predictions, we plan for data collection of both process and outcome measures. Thank you for watching this video on the planning phase, the first of several videos going in depth on PDSA cycles.